Thank you, Sophia. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Dentsu Live Talks. In case you don't know Dentsu, we're a global marketing services network purpose-built in and for the digital economy. We've got 24 world-class entrepreneurial and connected agencies within the family, and our specialism is crafting integrated solutions that power intelligent experiences across the customer journey. In short, we help our clients win, keep, and grow their best customers. Live Talks is our forum for provocative thinking and discussion that helps brands unlock potential, embrace innovation, and drive brand and business growth in this never-before world. And we invite our people, our clients, our prospective clients, media partners, the analyst community, and friends of our network and agencies to join. Our conversations are led by subject matter experts from across our business. We focus on consumer insights and trends, business transformation, marketing and customer experience innovation, solutions that accelerate growth, media innovation, and emerging technology. And today's session is the final installment of a three-part series that's been focused on the streaming wars. We've discussed already the tremendous and continued growth of the category. We've covered mergers and acquisitions from some of the traditional media leaders, and we've focused on the areas which define the growth of the AVOD and SVOD space. Today, we're going to focus on Netflix, the leading streaming service who continues to dominate the space and some of the innovations that they're driving. So for those of you who have joined our previous two sessions, welcome back. Today's going to be great as the final installment. And for those who might be joining for the first time, welcome and enjoy the session. If you want to catch up on the previous two, all you need to do is visit Dentsu's website to check them out. So now I'm pleased to introduce Brad Stockton and Missy Galley, who will lead our discussion today. Quick intros. Brad is Vice President of Video Innovation at Amplify, which is the group at Dentsu responsible for media buying and investment management across all our clients. Brad oversees advanced video investment strategy, including addressable TV, data-driven linear, connected TV, and online video across Dentsu. I think he's also currently winning the award for thickest and longest beard at Dentsu, as you'll shortly see. And then Missy is Associate Media Director on our National Video Investment Team at Cara, which is Dentsu's largest media agency and the largest media agency in the US. Her role is to oversee negotiations and expenditures of national video budgets for several of our largest clients. And Missy manages a team focused on digital, cable, and multicultural day parts, fostering collaborative client and media vendor relationships. So Brad and Missy, welcome, and over to you. We look forward to a great discussion.
Excellent, Mike. Thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you all for joining today. We are really excited. I know I'm personally excited to be teaming up with Missy Galley on this topic and a different spin on the streaming wars and the opportunity for advertisers in this space. But before we dive into it, just want to talk about where we've been and what led to us to this third-part series. It all started with Cara Lewis and Kevin Wiegand taking us through the growth in streaming TV and why it's so important for advertisers. It's not a nice to have anymore because we've seen such unbelievable growth in streaming TV with over 103 million connected TV households across the US. Streaming TV is a must-have, not a nice to have, to your omni-channel strategy. That being said, we then went over and had a great session with Sarah Johnson and Connor Hale, who talked about the mergers and acquisitions, which really have been reshaping that marketplace with the likes of Viacom CBS, acquiring Pluto, who kicked this whole thing off, to Fox acquiring Tubi, and then NBCU/Comcast acquiring Vudu, as well as Zumo. But across all of these disciplines and what we're talking about, there's been one common thread, and we're going to focus that on today, which is content is king. No matter what, people and audiences, consumers, they are going to these platforms, not just to go to them, They're going to them because there's great quality, high quality, premium content that is making users want to go discover content and watch content how they want, when they want, where they want. And that's why it's so important for us to see what are the opportunities within the SVOD space. And we want to take a little bit of a deeper look at Netflix specifically, who's been the market leader in this space, who has definitely set the stage very high for all new entrants moving in as we know it. So we brought this up before, and we've talked heavily about the AVOD growth in the space, the opportunity for spots and dots buying, that 41% of viewership pre-pandemic associated with AVOD consumers. That's a great number, and it's very important that we have a strategy to reach those consumers there. But that doesn't mean we want to ignore the coveted 59% on the right there that is happening in February 20, as of February 20, and that there's a great opportunity for advertisers to reach their consumers beyond just a spots and dots, but really integrate and talk to them in a new fashion. And as we look post-pandemic, and when this thing really hit off, it wasn't just AVOD that's been growing in the space. Consumers are looking for great quality content and discovering new content. And SVOD services has absolutely seen the benefit of said increases. As high as 45% since the pandemic hit in the middle of March has increased viewership per hour, has SVOD seen increases. And even most recently, still a plus 31%. So it has obviously gone down as we start getting back to a little bit of normalcy, but we know holistically, there's been an absolute increase in the SVOD space. So the purpose and the talk track for today's conversation is really going to be rooted in Netflix. Netflix was the OG and the pioneer of this space. They were the ones who started this whole subscription off. They were the true disruptor when they were battling Blockbuster and A to Z videos. Now they are the leader in this space, and now there's the new entrants who are coming in, the Disney Pluses, the Apple Pluses. And thanks to all of what Netflix has done, they've taken a lot of hits on the chin. They've gone through all the different battles, learned, and have evolved. And now all these partners have a blueprint on how to be successful in the SVOD space. And that's what we really are excited to be talking about today and what the opportunity is for advertisers. And it goes without saying, content is king. And what do we mean by that? With Netflix spending over $17 billion on content specifically, it is proving that the blueprint for the success in this space is you have to have high quality premium content. Whether that's amazing original scripted series, like Orange is the New Black, whether that's Stranger Things, Mindhunter, it's about having those great pieces of content, but also acquiring great shows and originals like Tiger King, or striking movie deals with Will Smith or Adam Sandler. These partners, or the partners of Netflix, have clearly made it clear that you have to be spending money on great content. That's what's going to drive viewership to your platform and ensure consumers stay on your platform. And this blueprint is the opportunity that we see across the board. That's why Apple Plus is spending $6 billion in television, in content. You have Amazon Prime spending over $4 billion, your Disney Pluses, your CBS All Access. These partners are all spending money to get great content to bring consumers to their platform. But just because there isn't the traditional ad model doesn't mean there isn't an opportunity for advertisers. As this content is being built, we are excited for Missy to really take you through what that opportunity is and how you can make your brand come to life in these awesome SVOD services.
Thanks, Brad. So we all know that Netflix has no plans to incorporate ads into their platform anytime soon. In fact, being commercial free is a deep part of their brand proposition, stating that they see more value in the long term by avoiding the competition for ad revenue and instead focusing solely on viewer satisfaction and increasing subscription growth. And they're wise to do so. Based on this December 2019 eMarketer poll, 43% of subscribers would cancel their subscription if ads were introduced to Netflix. To put that into perspective, that would be a potential loss of 68 million viewers. However, as Brad just discussed, Netflix is churning out tons of high quality water cooler content at a rate that far surpasses their competition. And this has advertisers eager to align with this valuable space and the unreachable audience that comes with it. So how do advertisers do so? Well, the only way in is through integrations. Now, we all know integrating into content is not a novel concept, but when it comes to the ad-free environment of Netflix, advertisers need to get innovative and creative. In this section, I'm going to take you through the integration approaches that brands need to take in order to capitalize on this space, as well as some great examples executed within dentsu. So this slide highlights the different levels of integration opportunities that exist within Netflix. At the bottom, you have your traditional product placement, which has been saturating media since the early 1980s. Unfortunately, this form of advertising has been overplayed in recent years, losing its authenticity and therefore becoming less common. In fact, Netflix tends to avoid product placement altogether without proper contextual alignment, which brings us to the next level, and that is your more formal brand integrations. In a recent statement, Netflix stated that when it comes to incorporating advertisers into their shows, they typically leave these decisions up to show producers, and that most of the brands you see in shows are only included if they complement the authenticity of the story. And when it might not make sense for a brand to directly integrate into a show, brands should look to create ancillary custom content that is compelling to the advertiser's target audience and still thematically aligns with the show. And then up at the top, you have co-promotional marketing. Essentially what this is a mutually beneficial way for brands to have presence on or associate with Netflix, and in exchange, Netflix gets to hitch a ride in the advertiser's existing media channels. This is something you often see in the movie industry. However, Netflix has completely changed the game, given that their full season releases have the same impact as a new movie release. Something else to note, with so much content, Netflix has had trouble maintaining attention for some of their shows due to binge culture. So this arrangement with brands is a valuable way to sustain attention on a given show. As you can see, there are multiple different levers that can be pulled in order for advertisers to align with Netflix highly sought after content. Which brings me to this next slide that highlights some excellent examples executed by our very own dentsu clients and other brands across the industry. So in this first example, a female brand was able to incorporate their product right into the script of season 2 of the Netflix YA original Trinkets, which is slated to launch later this summer. The brand's goal was to find a way to resonate with Gen Z women's culture by showing up and integrating where they're already consuming content. By leveraging key characters and building on storylines, the brand came to life in multiple scenes and was organically positioned as the character's brand of choice. And we're excited to see the results of this partnership later this year. The next example comes from another dentsu client and their partnership with Netflix 2019 series Green Eggs and Ham, based on the Dr. Seuss book. In this case, it didn't contextually make sense for the brand to integrate directly into the series. Instead, dentsu produced co-branded media to promote an in-store activation that aligned the brand with the series in a unique way by offering a Green Eggs and Ham themed product as a promotional tactic. The end result was tons of publicity for both parties while simultaneously driving home the correlation between the brand and Netflix. This next example comes from the Microsoft team and highlights the importance of maintaining creative integrations with your linear partners. In this case, Microsoft sponsored the CW series All American over the course of multiple seasons and created a partnership featuring the Microsoft Surface product. In season 2, CW ran outside the show story stretches within commercial breaks that followed a main character's journey to write a song, with the plotline culminating into a co-branded music video made available on YouTube and other social outlets. Additionally, in-show integrations added new details to the plot and highlighted the Surface's features and functionalities. The exciting aspect of this partnership is that as All American seasons shift over to Netflix, the life of the integration gets to live on. And as we've covered in the previous 2 streaming war sessions, with major parent companies developing or acquiring their own streaming services, this is something advertisers need to keep in mind. In fact, season 2 continued to rank number 7 on Netflix top 10 shows throughout this past April, showing that this partnership, while it launched in 2018, is still just as relevant and effective today. And the social portion of the campaign saw a lift in ad recall, message agreement, and purchase intent. Now, we can't talk to you about Netflix without mentioning Stranger Things. When it comes to co-promotional marketing, they've truly pioneered the way for other streaming services, and there is no better example than what they did with this series. Netflix has agreements in place with about 75 different brands, both large and small, from all categories across the industry to promote this smash series. Some of the major brands with marketing tie-ins include Coca-Cola, Burger King, H&M, and of course, Eggos. And these partnerships are securing exposure for Netflix, both in marketing channels and with audiences that Netflix could not buy itself. They are even procuring presence into physical stores and restaurants. And this strategy goes back to their brand proposition I mentioned earlier, which is to essentially fuel subscriptions by heightening interest in their shows through these meaningful alliances with brands. While Netflix was the first mover in terms of innovative integrations and marketing partnerships, we've been seeing the other SVODs follow suit in recent years, like that of Hulu, Disney+, Prime Video, and HBO. And these types of deals are only becoming more popular as subscription services flood the market. As Hulu's slate of originals continues to expand, as do opportunities for integrations and custom content. In addition to partnerships with individual series, brands can also sponsor collections of shows, create ancillary content to align with programming, and sponsor limited commercial interruptions. Disney Plus has been very public about its co-marketing opportunities, offering free trials to customers of Verizon Wireless, LG TVs, Google Chromebooks, and even Kellogg cereal. HBO has collaborated with brands like Bud Light and Oreo to push blockbuster shows like Game of Thrones, including a Bud Light crossover ad that aired during the Super Bowl in 2019. And while Prime Video is known for embracing product placement in their originals, they've also run promotions with brands like Lexus and Maxwell House with the popular series The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. While Netflix may be dominating the co-promotional space, the other streaming services have the edge in some regards. These SVODs already have experience of playing in the agency world, allowing them access into an already existing relationship. Additionally, they have the benefit of hindsight into what worked and what didn't for Netflix, so there's an advantage to being second sometimes. However, something we hope these SVODs keep in mind, and to quote our very own Brad Stockton from a February Ad Exchanger article, if co-marketing deals and brand integrations become the new reality for marketers, as consumers engage less with advertising on TV, they'll have to rethink the way they measure and the effectiveness of such opportunities. Essentially, for advertisers to understand the value of these opportunities, we need more insight and transparency from streaming services. So what are the key takeaways for advertisers? The first and most obvious is to ensure that your integration contextually aligns with the content. You want your brand to get into the production process early. For advertisers to become organically connected to a show, best practice is to start the partnership as early as the show's inception if possible. Integrating directly into the script in an authentic and meaningful way takes things a step beyond product placement because a narrative is being formed around the brand, almost turning it into a character itself. In cases where integrations directly into the show don't make sense, look for purposeful and relevant ways to align with the content, whether that be through ancillary custom content, social extensions, on-site activations, or co-branded media. Distributing content out to these other channels drives the correlation between the brand and the show. Keep in mind that linear integrations are more valuable than ever, given that in today's landscape, content inevitably makes its way over to a streaming platform, allowing the brand presence to live on for years down the road. Lastly, seek out innovative and unconventional co-promotional partnerships that are mutually beneficial to both your brand and the streaming partner. These types of integrations help support subscription revenues for SVODs, which allow them to reinvest into more blockbuster content. In turn, this keeps consumers coming back for more commercial-free shows and provides your brand with access to the elusive cord-cutting audience. And now I'm going to pass it back to Brad to take us home.
Thanks, Missy. So to wrap this up, what we want to make sure that we are clarifying and the opportunities for brands here is our approach to this space. First things first, it's always an audience first approach. That is how we operate at Dentsu. And that is that we are looking and utilizing our tools that we have, whether it's looking at Merkle and M1 data to make sure that as we evaluate different opportunities as it pertains to integrations and which shows or platforms or content to really go with, we want to make sure that the audiences make sense for the content we're going to integrate into. This way we'll have the strongest resonance with your core consumer. But of course, we want to make sure it's a client-centric approach, making sure that the actual show we're integrating into also aligns with who you are as a consumer, or excuse me, who you are as a brand, to make sure that we have both a combination of your audiences and your brand authenticity all coming together to drive the most effective integration possible. And then as the Amplify guy, as Mike said from the beginning, from a holistic investment opportunity, it's a great place, especially as we see new partners coming into the SVOD space. A partner like Disney, who has a studio, has a Disney Plus and an SVOD traditional service, as well as a traditional media company, we have the opportunity to really find ways to integrate brands across an omni-channel strategy to drive that exact effectiveness that we're talking about. So really connecting the dots between all three of these will really make sure that we're setting ourselves up and we're setting you up for success as a brand taking advantage of this SVOD space. So with that, we will turn it over to any questions that we have.
All right. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Missy. A couple questions coming in. Let me start with one. Given brand safety concerns, especially in the current social environment, how do you manage a content integration in the event that something controversial happens with that program down the road?
Yeah, I can take this one. That's a really great question. So unfortunately, we don't have a crystal ball to predict those types of things. We as advertisers are aware that there's always going to be a risk associated in this space, but I think we look at them as calculated risks. So with these types of partnerships, I think it's important to thoroughly understand who we're partnering with, the content, the theme, the people associated. And as an agency, we do our due diligence to ensure that we're in the most brand safe environment possible while staying cognizant of those said risks.
All right, great. Here's another one. Why should a brand work with an agency to activate content integrations instead of working directly with a streaming service?
Yeah, so it's not that brands shouldn't work directly with a streaming partner. I mean, no one knows their brand better than the client themselves, but let the agencies be a part of the process. We have tons of tools, utilize them, they're at our clients' disposal. And as the streaming landscape shifts and grows, collaboration is absolutely pivotal now more than ever. So let us be a part of the conversation and work together to ensure the best outcome for our clients.
Great. A few more coming in through the Q&A function on Zoom. So for those watching and listening, if you've got a question, we'll encourage you to type it in here to the Q&A. First question from Maggie. Thanks, Maggie. How do brands and agency partners evaluate brand integration opportunities? How do you evaluate the investment?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. There's multiple ways to do it, but it all comes down to really what we were talking about, what Missy brought up about, we need more transparency. Ultimately, we need to understand what the opportunity is in terms of the viewership to then properly equate to what the right investment is associated with that integration. So what we will like to do is we'll understand, well, if it's a Stranger Things and has the opportunity to reach 100 million people, what would that equate to on a traditional media buy? And then we can actually get down to a CPM or a cost per spot that we would be willing to pay to do said integration. And then on top of that, there's other ways of evaluating it. Of course, there's social listening tools. What kind of buzz is this show going to get? I think there's partners out there that do a really great job at connecting the dots to what is happening on television and what was viewed, and then what are people talking about to help us put together what the right evaluation is and what we would be willing to spend for an integration.
Okay, got it. Thanks, Brad. Here's another one. Maggie asking a couple questions. Hulu's brand integration opportunities also live in ad-supported environments. So how do you assess the ad-supported opportunities?
The ad support is actually a little bit easier because of that viewership data is a little bit more accessible for us, actually. So if we know who's actually being and actually watching those shows, it'll be a little bit easier for us to connect the dots associated with that. Plus, we have the opportunity of running adjacencies of our current creatives that are running in next to said integration. So it's actually a really nice way of extending that story, something we saw really well done with Microsoft and All American.
Yeah, all right. Here's a question from Courtney. Linear has become very cost prohibitive, right, to do any kind of integration. Do you think streaming's more affordable?
Yeah, you know, it's always in the eyes of the beholder. I think it's going to depending on the opportunity. You know, from one channel to the next, from one SVOD service to the next, it's going to be what are we trying to integrate into and how deep of an integration. I think there's ways of being efficient and effective at the same time when it comes to integrations, but it's really going to come down to what are we willing to pay for and make sure the contextual alignment is there. Are our audiences there? Does it make sense for the brand? And then we can evaluate what that proper media assessment is to say, hey, this is worth paying for. Do I think SVOD will be more efficient? It's going to take time will tell. We do know that because of the growth we're seeing in SVOD, they're getting a lot closer to what television looks like from a viewership perspective. And the truth is these content partnerships live on. So they're beyond just a 30-second spot. So there's a lot of things that go into the evaluation and we help advertisers feel comfortable before spending a single dollar.
Got it. Great. Here's one from Andy. Brad and Missy, thank you for the presentation. So let's pass along that first. Super insightful. So has dentsu conducted any brand lift studies, like either internally or with third-party measurement, to showcase the long-term efficacy of an integration?
So we've definitely done brand lift studies associated with it in terms of the long term. So in terms of looking at when a show moves over to Netflix, like an All American, which I will shamelessly say I started watching just a couple weeks back, and I love seeing Microsoft all over the place. So I will say that my awareness has grown for it, but I think the truth of the matter is it's really difficult when you start getting into more of the walled gardens to really properly run the tests associated with what is that awareness in the long term outside of the actual current integration that you're talking about. It's something that we absolutely want to explore and making sure that we are taking advantage and being able to showcase the effectiveness of the long-term impact, but just understanding technical limitations when it comes to measurement, when it comes to that long-term impact.
Yeah. All right, here's another one. And we had a question before about, evaluating, right, or measuring the media value of an integration, but maybe we double click in here. How do you measure, or how might you ultimately attribute sales and other client KPIs to an integration?
Yeah, again, it is a little difficult depending on where the actual integration is airing and which SVOD services. Fortunately, there are some great opportunities through ACR technology to understand who was exposed to our integrations on which channels, and then being able to connect them back to they actually take an action. Am I saying that there's a perfect science for it today? No, but there are ways that we can look at opportunities and integrations to connect that back to that bottom line lift accordingly. Now, again, the tough thing with integrations is, you're not talking directly about my product and giving the call to action, but really integrating it seamlessly into the content. So we're not necessarily saying that you should be doing integrations for direct sales impact, but nor so making sure you're aligning it, garnering that ad awareness, recall, and resonance, and showcasing how their brand fits holistically into the story.
Brad, here's a question from me. Do you have best in class examples or things that you've seen that are like world-class in terms of integrations that have worked here, things that you've got in mind as being best? You mentioned Microsoft before in the All-American, but are a few other examples for the viewers? Not to put you on the spot, buddy, sorry.
No, you're absolutely fine. I'll do a shameless plug for myself because I got to do an Oreo integration into Stranger Things a few years back with Mondelez. And we saw a great opportunity for a brand to be endemic to Stranger Things. Now, granted, we know a lot of people have integrated into Stranger Things, but there's new ways of doing integrations, whether it's doing it directly into the show, like KFC did in season 2, or Eggo in season 1, or Oreo, who was a brand that was around in 1986. So it made sense to be in that program. I would have loved to put Charmin into The Mandalorian, but it really wouldn't make sense because it was a long, long time ago that show aired. So, I think when it comes to it, best in class is always going to come down to who's the most organic. How are you contextually aligning it? We've seen unbelievable work from General Motors. Microsoft has done it really well. We know P&G plays really great in that space. So, it's hard to pinpoint one that I like the most, but I would say some of the things we've seen on Stranger Things has been absolute top class across the board.
All right, great. Here's another one. How would you predict the share or split of brand integration and content partnerships in a brand's media investment portfolio in the coming year? Like what sort of size and scale should this approach potentially take?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And really what's going to come down to is your omni-channel strategy. Ultimately, you're trying to drive impressions and eyeballs to your brand and to your products to make sure that we're moving the needle, whether that's on an awareness, whether it's on sales. So as we look at your omni-channel strategy, where does this fit? How many additional eyeballs can we actually garner against your strategic audiences? Using our M1 or combined with our planning tool, we'll be able to evaluate these opportunities and how does it holistically drive your business for the greatest effectiveness across the board.
Okay, great. And Brad, you're doing a great job in the hot seat here. One last one. We've talked a couple times about importance of measurement, but do you have a recommended approach to measuring ROI KPIs that you set up and with clients and you would bring to the table here?
There's some really great companies that have done, technology companies that have made a lot of headway in this space, whether it's, Ben, the Brand and Entertainment Network. So it's a Bill Gates owned company who does a great job of evaluating opportunities and trying to equate that to what the impression output would be. using partners with ACR technology is another great way to just understand who is exposed, how many people are actually watching your show. Again, Netflix is not going to give viewership numbers associated with a given show. However, we're able to do certain proxies, knowing that Stranger Things is a tier 1 show. How many people then actually watch that, HBO and their show? So I think the combination of looking at that will then help us allow it to at least be input into your MMMs to help you understand what is the proper evaluation, how did it impact your holistic buying and your bottom line as an organization.
All right, a final and strategic question. Brad, how long are you looking to grow the beard?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Now that I joined a beard club about a month and a half ago, I have a monthly subscription that's going to be coming. So I have to figure out how great this cream will actually work. But I'm pretty sure Kara's going to make me have a line at some point on this.
All right, well, again, great stuff. Brad, thank you. Missy, thank you. I think we've got your contact information up on the screen here, so we encourage viewers and attendees today to reach out to say hello, whether it's beard advice or SVOD and AVOD advice from our friends Brad and Missy. Thank you very, very much to all that have joined, and thanks for a great presentation. Everybody have a phenomenal long weekend. We hope you enjoy the holiday.
Thanks, Mike, Brad, Missy, kudos to your entire team for the deep dive into the streaming landscape. Just to wrap, you can stay up to date on upcoming live talks directly on our website. So when you exit this session, you will be redirected to our events landing page where you can learn more, sign up, or catch one of our on-demand videos. And we appreciate you all for tuning in. Thank you.